Blakey and Tux, they're talking Cardiff City and some other stuff. Blakey and Tux, Dolly asked the questions on Blakey's Bootroom. Will always be blue.
If it buzzes, mate.
Good afternoon, welcome to the latest edition of Blakey's Bootroom here on Wales Live. Nathan and Steve in the studio to talk all things Cardiff City. Slightly disappointing weekend, really. Chaps sort of lost a couple of points in the race for the playoffs, but still not all lost. 3 points off the playoffs now, with 8 games to go. We're at that business end, aren't we?
This is it.
I mean, 1-1 at Reading.
It's a result. It keeps you in there. No, it doesn't.
You need wins.
I mean, it's not being greedy and it's not being critical, but you need to win. You don't get the prize of the playoffs or better without winning games. It's as simple as that. And we keep saying week after week we're running out of games. And I think last week when we were a point behind.
And
now we're back to.
You know what it is? In November, that's a good point. Do you know what I mean? If you say in November and you've gone to Reading, you've got a point. Great! If we win our next home one, now we can't do more than that. A point away. Now it just feels very much like 2 points dropped, doesn't it? You know, two quite.
And you can't be critical. I've seen the game, the performance, good. You know, Reading were decent as well. Both teams had chances. It could have been a high-scoring game, really. But they played well. You know, things that we've criticised in the past. Their possession now is more even. They're getting more shots on goal, more corners, free kicks, more attempts. So everything is improved. But you know, the thing that gets you over the line at the end of the day is the results. You know, their playing style is improved. Like I said, the possession stats have improved. You know, the goal scoring's improved. But they need a string of wins. They need a run.
They need a run. Look at those on t-shirts.
Always need a run. I mean, it's 8 games to go. We had a little look at this yesterday. 75 points is the sort of average that's got you into the playoff over the last 10 years, which basically equates to Cardiff, I think, needing 5 wins and a draw from their last 8 matches.
I think that's a tall order. I think that's a tall order.
It's a big ask, and as you lose the next game, it becomes 6 wins, and do you understand what I mean?
So there's a tipping point.
Yeah, so it's every game you don't win, and like we keep saying, Reading, decent result, played well enough, but every game you don't win, that points per games ratio will just increase.
Two of those 8 games though are Derby and Sheffield Wednesday, aren't they?
And Birmingham
next up,
Birmingham as well. But I just keep coming back to that thing of where's the evidence of the 5 wins out of 8? You know, they haven't done it. They are all season. You know, they haven't. But they haven't
just got over the two back to back, didn't we? We just got. And we were saying we don't want to focus too much on back to back. That's where it starts. But you want to get on a run. That's where we have the joke about the run of getting 4 or 5 or 6 games, because you don't be too focused on back to back. Because when you achieve what you're trying to go for, people tend to then kind of think, "Oh, we've done it," sort of thing. But you don't. You want to try and keep them on a plateau where they're constant and trying to get 4, 5, 6 games back to back, because it was, for me, it's the only way they're gonna achieve what their intentions.
They got to beat Derby.
Got to beat Derby.
Well, they could lose the next 2 games and win the last 6. You know, it's never over till it's mathematically over.
They're not going to end the season with a 6-game
You don't know.
Run.
Listen, one day the Donkey's got to win.
Right. You keep
so
saying that.
So they've gone all season without it. It might happen right at the end of the season. You know,
6 wins
if I said to you last season, at the end of the season, Leicester to finish, the end of February top of the table next year, I would have just been laughed at.
Well, it's
still
still
that's
not.
the beauty of football. It's the predictions, and I love Ranieri's reaction when he said, like the rest of the league games left is like today. You just never know what's going to happen, and it's true. You don't. You can play incredibly well, and on chances of 5-0, but lose the game 1-0. You just that's how crazy it is. You know what I mean? So who would have guessed Man City would be falling like a stone right now? Crystal Palace, you know what I mean? I know they're Premier League teams, but I'm just referencing them because it's hard to put a prediction on what's going to happen.
I would be amazed if Cardiff.
I would too, but I've been amazed before in football. Have you not?
Your goal against Man City, I was amazed. I can't believe that lazy so-and-so has scored such a good goal. I was amazed by the whole thing. Now let's sell him immediately. This is Cardiff City.
The lazy one who carried you for about 2 years.
Oh, I had to take that. I never forget the day taking that poster down of you on
Judas. Yeah, I know, mate. I know.
Well, at least we got 200 grand. Whatever the hell it was. I can't remember what it was now.
Missed out on 500.
Well, this is Cardiff after all.
Yeah.
This is Cardiff. But
anyway.
I think it's. I personally, I think like a lot of people say, I think it's a very, very tall order for them. I do. I just can't see
of that Derby game. Derby are currently 5th and 5 points ahead of Cardiff. Anything but a win, and it's very difficult to see Cardiff.
Oh, I think they got to win that.
And then really, you're talking. There's only There's only Sheffield Wednesday to go at there. I mean, we'll assume Hull because they're on 66 points with a game in hand.
Would you take it now? Last day, beat Birmingham at home for a place? I suppose you would, really, wouldn't you? That'd be quite good. As I said it, I realised that sounds really good. It was supposed to be more of an open debate. As I was saying it, I was answering. So okay. So that's one thing we all agree on. We would take that. It's good to get the show off to an agreeable start. We take that. But I'm not sure that's going to happen. I just fear for them a little. I fear, what I fear most of all is Blakey sitting here on the last day saying, what did I tell you last year? 8th. That's going to be worse than Cardiff missing out on the playoffs. Is Blakey
they might finish 7th.
Fine, whatever, man. I prefer it as long as it's not 8th. I prefer 9th, to be honest.
Let's look at some of the positives, though, in terms of why they might make it. And Lex Immers, we've talked a bit about him, but we seem to talk about him a little more every week, really, again.
Well, what's his strike rate now? Is it like 5 in 6? Or I don't know, it's something mad. It's brilliant.
It's fantastic.
It's exactly, I think, I saw what I was reading some of Chris's stuff, and he said the thing. He said, and I thought he got it exactly right. He said, finally a lone player that does exactly what you wanted him to do has arrived, rather than, oh, crikey, he's got a bed. The guy's just hit the ground running. I mean, I don't think he's the greatest player that's ever donned a Cardiff shirt, but he's just got that fantastic knack of he's so intelligent. He's got a fantastic knack of just being in the right place at the right time, in and around the box. And he's a good finisher as well. And he's providing, to be fair, exactly, we sat here probably in January, didn't we, and said, God, if only they'd bring someone in who'd go on a bit of a goal spurt, someone get 8, 9 goals. Well, I think he's on like 5 goals now.
Yeah, but you needed that alongside a striker who's scoring his normal tally of
goals.
That's what we were saying.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case where we need that and that alone. You need a striker who's going to get his 20 goals a season and be chipping in now towards the end of the season. The last 8 games. If you give me 5 goals and you got Immers, another 5 or 6 goals, 1 or 2 from elsewhere, all of a sudden
then... Pilkington hasn't done too bad. He seems to always score
he's not.
At home.
He's done listen,
he's done very well.
For a winger, he's done brilliant. But at the end of the day...
Paul from Grangestown saying to you, one thing we've lacked is goal scoring and natural goal scoring.
Yeah.
I just don't think we have enough of a natural striker.
Yeah.
That's needed in this league. And he also said, I don't think 5 wins... will be enough. I think more will be needed. Interesting on the strikers because there's still, obviously there's Zahor and Sardi kind of there and on the bench, but not really.
You've got loads of strikers.
Much. We know about the ones on. I mean, you were looking at Owen Doyle scored a big goal for Preston.
I just saw Doyle scored. He came off the bench and equalised late on for Preston against QPR. which kept them playoff hopes. Probably lesser hopes than Cardiff, but still hopes there. I don't know. I was just looking at him, and
didn't make sense,
we've been
did it?
through so many strikers. We could sit down here and talk for half hour about, you know, going to Mason, Doyle, I mean, you know, Tony Watt, to the Tony Watt period and all that. And I just look at Doyle in a strange way. I mean, yeah, I've been looking at it this morning, and he hasn't pulled up any trees at Preston, to be honest. Like 3 goals in something like 10 starts or something, but
I think our problem...
He's a player that they lacked. But and I'll always go back for this. You look at his stats for Cardiff, and they're no, they're not. They're really decent. He got something like 5
goals in 11 starts.
In 11
5
starts
goals.
in the Championship.
Not bad.
5 substitute appearances.
That's great, and he's exactly, you know, he is all right. You might not say at Championship level, crikey, at League One level, he is a proven goal scorer, and part of me is thinking they got Sardi sitting on the bench. Okay, they brought Amiobi on. They're looking for late inspiration, somebody to grab. They need that winner. They don't get... Okay, they were under the cosh late on, but that late goal thing... Doyle's doing it up at Preston. I don't know. I'm not saying he's the panacea for all things, going to cure all things, but...
Yeah, but that's what tends to happen, isn't it? When you're struggling, you look there.
Yeah, I mean, I just find... I think we'll look back on this season as a whole and just say... I know things are maybe clicking a bit more now, but for too long... We didn't know who the best striker was. We didn't know who the best combination. Well, no, we don't
got a striker.
No, we haven't got
a striker. Of all the striker thing, if you go through Lafondra, Makeda, Ravel, the big man, Kenwyn, Joe Mason,
Doyle, who we mentioned.
Doyle. You've got 6, maybe 7 strikers in the last 2 years. We can't say at this point. Yeah, he's got 10 goals.
Well, Mason's probably the pick. He left. He was on 5 or 6 when he left. Wasn't he? He was top scorer at the club then, I think, Pilton. But he's...
It's interesting to see. We did a thing again the other day. Mason can't get in the Bulls team at the minute since his
Oh, that's gone all really weird.
He started well.
They're saying they can't find... I mean, I saw Jacket saying he can't find the right partner for him or how to play him.
Which is kind of Cardiff struggle. We always say, what type of player is Joe Mason? Who does he play?
Well, I thought his best partnership, and I maintained that position, was with Kenwyn Jones. I think that worked. I think if you're... And again, you know, it comes from the manager. You need direction. That's what managers are supposed to do, or head coaches, is direct. And I think when he played with Kenwyn Jones, like I said, I would rather him play more goal side than running on the flick on side, because I think he's better. I think you're better pushing Kenwyn as deep as possible, or were as deep as possible, and letting Jones play in that number 10 kind of role.
We're talking about like imaginary forward, like guys no longer. Those 2 guys would be great now.
But you know, for a club who's had 6 strikers, like we've just mentioned there, in the last 2 years on their books, you know, to say at 7, to say you've not got a 15 goal, 20 goal striker, you know, do you start to look at all those strikers? Can they all be the same and have the same problem? I think what hasn't helped Cardiff is we haven't helped ourselves in having such a ridiculously big squad. Yeah, and then managers having to come in and cut, and Russell Slade's had to come in and cut and and spend time doing that sort of thing, trying to find, and almost having, you know, kiddie in a sweet shop.
I was going to say that too many options.
Because
if you've got fewer,
you're constantly
you're going to give someone
11.
a run, aren't you?
And not just that. If you don't win, you've got the ability to be able to change it again, change it again,
well, that's what's
change
happened,
it again.
yeah.
And that's what basically happened.
Yeah.
Until the point where, really and truly, that's what they say, you only want, really, an 18-man squad, 21 with your peripheral players, you know, but your 18 men, you know who they are, and the only thing that stops those being in your squad is severe injury. Because most managers wouldn't want 40 high-quality players to pick from, or 30, because you can only play 11, and you've got to keep then a further 10 happy who are not going to be on the bench.
It always seems that Cardiff managers, I mean, Dave Jones,
who are going to be on the bench,
perform better when their options were at their most limited.
True.
And I mean, it's just what happened. It's just exactly what's happened to Slade with his Pilkington thing, and suddenly he's like, hang on, oh right, okay, that worked. It's always been the same thing.
Is it Anthony Pilkington, Cardiff's top scorer with 8 goals this season, but he's on the list of Championship top scorers. He's 20th.
Yeah, well, there you go. you'll have teams above us.
329 minutes per goal.
You'll have 2 players in the top 20, top 15, you know, or 1 player on 19 or 21 goals or something like that. I think if you combined our top 3, we still wouldn't be in top goal scorers.
Yeah, well, it's a problem. Alex here saying we are a striker away from the playoffs, sadly, so that perhaps sums it up. Question from Andrew: Would you guys sign Immers on a permanent for next season if available?
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as the sort of player that once he's got a contract he's going to dip. So I probably would, yeah. And I think I personally think that, you know, it needs freshening, because we have got a certain group of players who have been at the club for a long time now. Do you know what I mean? And I think we've had such a turnover of players, but the turnover of players, they've been outside the main core of, say, 10. Do you know what I mean? And the rest have just been a continual turnover. So for me, there's probably, I'd like to see a couple of the youngsters promoted into the first team squad. I'd like to see, because I always say homegrown talent is your bread and butter, really. And I'd like to see 1 or 2 faces being freshened up in the actual 18 or 21 man
this comes
squad.
back a little bit to what we were talking about last week about Slade, though, and the thought, is he the guy to do the freshening up? Is that, we took, with one breath we're saying, this guy's had all these strikers, we had Lafondra, he couldn't get this together. And then in the next breath, we're kind of saying, and what Slade needs to do now is bring some more players in, bring some new fresh.
No, I still think there's. I've said to you before, Tux, if I was Ken Tune now, I'd be saying, right, it's like this: 3 players out to every 1 in. As simple as that. I'm not gonna allow more players to come in on top of the squad we've already got. Until
but a change of players
go out.
Yeah, I know
what
what you mean.
And I wouldn't do a 1 for 1. I wouldn't say, you get 1 player out, you can bring 1 in. I'd do a 2v1 worst case scenario. But there's masses of players there. Still, you forget 20.
There's all these guys out on loan as well.
Loads of them out on loan. You forget the 21s. They're all young professionals. And you've got like a first team squad of about 30, 35. It's like, it's huge. It's huge. It's huge. It's that needs to be cut down to, jointly with your 21s and first team squad, you should have no more than 28.
True. Paul here mentioned a few: Chopper, Earnshaw, Fraser, Campbell, Carl Dale, all 20 goal a season strikers.
You've got it, baby. Chris Pike, don't forget him.
Anymore, don't forget. Never forget Chris Pike. Never forget Chris Pike. A few other comments on the game on the weekend. A few different sort of takes on it. Bob from Cumbrano was positive. Is Bob says a point gained in the objective of getting to the top 6 against the side who had only lost 3 times at home all season.
Yeah, I take that. Just a minute, John. I take that, Bob. I know Bob personally. He's a good guy. I understand that point, Bob, but if those above you win, that point is null and void. Because if you were 6, you could make that point, and the team who's 7th had lost, fair enough. But when the team who's 6 win and you lose, like we just said earlier on,
step backwards.
We've gone backwards.
Well, they've gone 2 points backwards.
Correct, Mundo. So whilst we're not nailing the performance or anything like that, we're just simply saying, of all the good we can talk about and all the positives, at the end of the day, we're further back than when we started.
With less games to go.
With less games to go.
And that's all that matters, I suppose. Yeah.
Correct.
He says, though, all the interested teams have tough fixtures ahead. And of course, City can do it. They just have to believe it. He says, Andrew says, Reading was always going to be a difficult game. They've only lost 3 times.
Listen, going to Charlton is a difficult game.
Yeah.
There are no easy games. Just to get that out of your mind straight away. The worst thing we could do, and I mean, we've fallen foul to it in the past, is thinking, we need a point or 2 to get in the playoffs. We've got an easy last game or 2. We'll sail in there. What happened?
Indeed.
Right.
Indeed. Andrew says, not sure we will get much change, though, from our next 2 home games against Derby and Burnley. So 5 wins out of the last 6 seems a tall order. Wednesday and Sheffield Wednesday and Birmingham will be massive games.
Burnley away.
Which they will. Yeah, I think it is actually,
It is,
isn't
yeah,
it?
played
It's
Burnley at
Derby
home.
and Burnley away.
Drew
isn't it?
2-2 at home, didn't we?
That's
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to be incredible.
That's a big
stuff
ask.
there.
Steve says, I was at the game on Saturday. For me, there was a lack of intensity, which was a big disappointment. Cardiff need to approach every game as if it was
Fans
their
were
last from
fantastic,
now
by
on.
the way. Shout out to them. They
Yeah.
were. I mean, I had commentated earlier on in the day, but I had it on radio, watched the highlights later on, and mate, the fans, just I think it was about 1,800 of them. They said on radio, but fantastic, mate. I was sat listening, thinking, you know, that hairs on the back.
Yeah,
of the neck
yeah,
moment,
yeah.
you know,
Well,
I
it's
can
good, isn't it?
imagine
I mean,
being out there
that
now.
positivity certainly is continuing. I mean, Cardiff were nominated for Community Club of the Year as well, weren't they, the other day?
Mate, amazing stuff that foundation
which is
doing
good.
there, going out in the community and all that. I mean, it's this kind of stuff you don't get mentioned much on here because we're too busy sort of slagging everyone off. But you know, yeah, going out there, schools, the school ticket league.
What about this thing for the Derby game? So next home game, a new addition to Cardiff City Stadium. Every time Cardiff score a goal, am I right in thinking there'll be a gentleman or a lady waving a giant flag behind the goals?
A flag person.
On a horse.
In shining armour. No,
Which is something we've seen at Premier League level. Arsenal, Chelsea.
do it. I think Chelsea do it.
Chelsea do
enormous.
it.
It's one of those things which some people like and other people think is modern football nonsense, don't they? Where do we stand on
I
that?
find it not great. I'm not a massive fan of it. I find it a little bit contrived. I'm all for, I mean, maybe I'm just going back to olden days with rosy coloured glasses, you know, that organic, you know, that game against Leeds, you know, at Ninian Park when we did Leeds, you didn't need anyone. Someone had been waving a big flag, they'd probably been torn apart. I don't know. I mean, but I get the impression sometimes down there now I'm not the key demographic anymore. I'm locked into it.
You wanted red, so I wouldn't listen to you. You were happy to play in red.
Let's not get back onto this. I did not want... Look at this man. Look at these lovely red kids. No, I don't know. I'm not massive on it.
I'm not bothered one way or the other. I don't think it.
I'm not massive. I'd be interested.
I think if
I'm not massive.
When we did the story the
increases
other day, the sort of comments on Facebook and things like that were largely along the same lines of that. You know,
they were
plastic,
generally. I
fake,
mean, I don't know who
contrived.
hangs around on there making all the comments. I don't know. I mean, there were some positive ones, but there were a lot of like,
Well,
what
the only
next
thing is
goal
they've been
music.
criticised all season for lack of atmosphere and all the rest of it. It's trying
You can't have
something.
it
It's been
both,
done
can
in
you?
consultation with fans.
With
groups,
fans
isn't
groups.
it?
So you can't sit. We can't have us sitting here going, the club never do anything, and then they do something. It's like it's a load of rubbish. The club stop doing something.
I don't think it's. I think some things you can make mountains out of, and for me, it's like.
They're really big, these flags, baby.
So you make a cover.
I've seen it at some grounds. I've seen it. To be honest with you, I've never really. I thought most clubs had, once you scored a goal, something going on in the background now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Cardiff, people leaving because it's the opposition that's going. That's what's going on in the background.
mean, big flags, goal music. I mean, if it's entertaining and it improves the atmosphere.
You all right with goal music?
I'm not bothered, mate. Really, I think once you score a goal, it's celebration time. So if
What would you have had as your goal music?
It'll be some smoochy kind of George Benson. Ooh, baby.
Early 90s
That's my goal.
dance classic.
It'll be one of these sort of chat-up kind of tracks. You know,
no, it probably would have been something raw, something like some bit of NWA or something like that. Or
let's not have the
bit of
whole
Biggie
title
Smalls or
of
something like that, a bit of Tupac or something. You know, something strong.
Lovely.
I'm not sure. I'd have the Smiths. Heaven knows
really?
I'm miserable.
Like that, I swear. Have you heard
It's
his
like we
music?
get on so well.
Wow, we are chalk and cheese. Believe
No,
it.
I'm going
His
to have the
music is
Smiths.
unbelievable.
He's a funny boy.
What about?
He started going to the theatre recently.
Make it sound like a crime. Man goes to theatre.
Yeah,
Call the cops.
I was at the BBC Young Jazz Musician Awards the other day.
Oh, well, that's cool.
I heard they're opening a fridge door down the road here if you want to pop along. Hang as well, go there. Opening of an envelope.
I want to open it.
You weren't taking part, were you there?
Well, I forgot to mention.
Took your triangle. What was the question?
I can't remember.
I ask people what they'd have for goal
Flags,
music.
yeah.
What's a perfect people, what's the perfect goal music for a Cardiff song?
Well, indeed.
For a Cardiff
It would have
goal.
to be something with blue, wouldn't it?
Blue Monday. It's quite tricky to choose goal music, because the only one that always sticks in my mind is it Palace? Is it Gladol? Gladol? And
What about with Chelsea, don't they do it?
what do they have? I can't remember what they
sure
have.
they
If
have
they have
goal
it, do
music.
they?
I'm sure they
do to make up for the dreadful.
And like I never really until you mentioned it, I thought everyone has goal music.
That's just the music playing in your head every time they score. That's I don't know if anyone's got any good ideas for Cardiff goal.
I think it looks quite good as well with the flags and all. I just love I love the the celebration. I love when you score a goal, and I just love seeing
that's
that
what I
reaction
mean. I
of
like
the
that
crowd.
organic thing. That's what I mean about the flags
but if
and
some
the goal
people are
music.
waving flags and some people are jumping, some people are throwing their
Think
cans
about
of Coke over
what I
each
love.
other.
What I love sometimes in the game is sometimes you get photos. I tell you the classic one was the playoff final goal, Andy Campbell's goal. We haven't seen that because there's a couple of pictures. I think one of the guys here took them. Great photographer, and it's him shooting with all fans behind, looking like
and
then they celebrate on the same spot. They're on the mat, and the fans are celebrating behind. It just looks absolutely. People just going absolutely crazy. It's just something pure. I don't know if it's a Luddite thought, but something just pure. But this season, as we you look back, I'm bringing up that night against Leeds. Well, that was an exceptional night. This season, the crowds have been down. I think we've all commented about how bad the atmosphere has been. Maybe the club are right to step in and say, well, we're going to try this, we're going to do that. Well, fair play to the club.
They're trying to address it.
They're trying. They're liaising with fans now. They're speaking.
They have to.
They're trying to go out to schools and talk to kids and say, look, come and
free tickets for the Derby game as well.
Come and see us.
Renewed their season tickets.
So. My instincts are like, oh, go flags, goal music, dancing girl. Well, I don't mind dancing girl. That's all right. But I mean, sometimes I sometimes think you get away from the purity of the.
Who's it?
Yeah, but that's
Palace
gone.
have the dancing
Palace has the
girls?
eaglettes, or what they call the eagles. They have an eagle as well that flies around.
I know that, but the eaglettes, I think only you know about.
The Palace
Eaglettes.
I don't want to get caught up
I
in
don't
all
think they are
that.
called.
I do remember a guy from the
bloody
BBC that the dancing girls were dancing, and this guy at the BBC was going, "Oh, look at the eagle." I was thinking, this guy's got his priorities out of order. No, I don't think we. Well, they've already got dancing girls. They got brilliant dancers at Cardiff City. They local school people, I think.
There you
who
go.
are brilliant anyway, so don't need any more than that. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel you get away from the. It's like all goal line technology, these extra refs. I don't want to go jumpers for goalposts.
It is.
I know. I'm realising.
We're fighting. And for those who want to be, 11v11 referee to linesman, no goal line technology, the game is moving away from there.
I think the problem is that I'm getting older.
No. It's like anything. Once you introduce one thing, mission creep starts to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah, well now you've got
you've got a situation where people who run football are constantly trying to evolve it.
Well, I just hope
and they don't really know. Well, you look at people like Platini and people like that, obviously legends of the game. But you think to yourself, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The game itself.
Well, people would argue the goal line thing was broke. I mean, you had the Lampard's goal or non-goal against Junior, bouncing. But I don't know. I think in a way it's because I'm getting older. I bet when I was a kid down there going, this is all great. I bet there was old guys going, I wish I still had my rattle, or I wish we still all had malnutrition or rationing. I'm sure I'm just getting older now, and it's probably young kids going down, which is when I'm going, wow, giant flags. How fantastic, and so maybe I'm just an old codger, a miserable old codger. I'm sure plenty would agree with that. Plenty would agree.
They're called
with
the crystals, by the way. I've just done a little bit of research. The crystals.
Crystals.
The crystals.
They're
not the
fantastic.
eaglets.
The eaglets. You should maybe ring them and say, I got a new name.
Have you fancied changing?
I got a band. In front.
We can come
the
down.
eaglets and the crystals.
I can't see myself leading the crystals into anything but very unwelcome territory.
Indeed. Paul says the only thing that gets people / fans going at home in big numbers outside of the hardcore is a team that gives 100% and is winning, basically, which is
Sounds good.
Everyone loves a winning team, don't they?
I still say I think they're giving 100%. I've not subscribed to these players. I think this is a good group of players. How they've been handled, how they've been marshalled, how they've been set up, how they've been motivated, all that you can question. But I think they're a fantastic... You've only got to talk... I mean, you spoke to Stuart O'Keefe the other day. He was up before the game.
You have to slip it in.
I've got to mention the godlike genius of Stuart O'Keefe. But I mean, anybody. You talk to Pilkington, you talk to anybody. When Bruno Manga came out after he scored the winner the other week as well. And
they're not going to say opposite.
Well, no, but you can sense... these are genuine professional guys.
I've been at clubs who've been...
You're not going to bring me down now.
Oh no, I'm just saying, behind the scenes things haven't been great, but you do come out and say, you know,
well,
you're never going to say to a reporter.
No. I can't be bothered.
Can you imagine?
No,
especially you be like, what did you say?
No, I mean, but I don't doubt I've never doubted the commitment of the players. I don't. I think they're up for it. I think they want to do it. Obviously, they're professional guys. They want to be in the Premier League.
Please let me interview.
Please let me back in. No, I don't. But I don't question that commitment personally.
Yeah. Let's talk about a few individuals. Well, let's talk about the goalkeeper. Actually, obviously Marshall missing. Sam's got a nasty.
I think he was very nasty. I mean, hearing that he should be fit for Derby, but I think he was really under the weather. Like he might have gone onto his lungs or whatever, and breathing problems.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like a virus, and it was. I think it might have settled on the lungs, and it was. He's been very well. For an illness to keep you out of.
Might be something he picked up from if he got kids at school, because I know there was something going around. I take my old thing in there.
True.
You know as well.
I do.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, I had it myself actually.
Yeah.
Didn't have a day off work like Marshall, but
well, exactly. Imagine around here.
Over here, just took his spinach all over.
If you called up here and said I've got a virus, they'd be like, yeah. What time are you coming in? Unless it's Ebola. Unless it's Ebola, what time can you be here?
You and your virus better get yourselves in now.
But I don't know. But these are elite athletes. So obviously, you have to handle them with kids.
Yeah,
but how's his replacement done? That's the.
I think he does all right.
We're coming up to that stage of the summer where we're going to talk about Marshall.
He's done okay.
I think he's done okay.
Survive without.
Yeah, I think
he's done well Saturday.
The only thing, he's like anyone. Marshall's special in that he's a Premier League keeper playing in a Championship. I always say about a Championship keeper, the one thing, there's always something wrong with them. That's why they're in the Championship. They're
no, that's
true. They're either good in the air.
Hold on a minute. Before you say anything.
I thought this was going
What did they say about Schmeichel 2 or 3, 4 years ago?
Kasper or...
Yes.
Said he was rubbish.
Rubbish, too small, this, that, the other. Right. You have to give, what you've just said there, I can't let that go, because there's going to be people like Simon Moore in it. Well, you've got to give people, let me speak, you've got to give people time to develop, Tux. Some of the keepers in the Championship will become Premier League keepers. It's as simple as that.
No, I mean
but
now.
What you're
I'm not saying they've got some great flaw that will never be. But I'm just saying, don't you often find they're good shot stopper, they're not great in the air.
They don't command the
all
box. Keepers in the Championship.
I think most keepers currently.
For the Premiership.
No. I mean, currently, when you look at Championship level keepers we're playing, they're not saying they're not going to become the next flaming Dino Zoff or the next, whatever, Schmeichel or whatever. I'm just saying, usually, the majority, they have something, not a flaw, but something that needs working on. They're a good shot stopper. They tend to flap in the air. They don't command their box enough. They're not vocal enough. There's something.
What is Simon Moore's weakness?
I don't think he's great in the air or commanding his box. I think he's a good enough shot stopper. And I think he's done. Well, he hasn't let anyone down. Crikey, he's come in. They're 1 win and a draw away. I mean, crikey, it's not like they've just been done 5-0 and people have been like, pulling.
He never has every time he's played.
No, he's always, because he's had quite a few opportunities for a backup keeper because of the suspensions and
whatnot. Yeah.
But whether, if Marshall were to go, he's the man you would...
You've got to give him time to develop into the position.
All right, you're making me feel bad about the whole thing. Like I'm slagging off Simon Moore. I'm not. I think he's great. I interviewed him in the summer, and he's a very nice, very nice chap.
That makes sense. There.
I love it because he was starting the season.
Yeah,
so.
What do you guys think about moving slightly forward into the left? What do you guys think about the left back Scott Malone, because Chris, who was there at the game, Chris Wathen at the weekend, was critical of him very much again defensively. And he often is, to be fair. But
I mean,
there's a school of thought among some people that he's a weakness.
Forward, and he's not so great defensively, but
got a good shot on him.
You're a defender first. That's the problem. Defenders defend first and foremost, and anything above that is a bonus. I think he's seen as very good going forward and not so good defensively. And Saturday he had not for 90 minutes, but he had a few torrid moments. But hey, that's what your teammates are there for. If you get yourself in a bit of a pickle, they're there to bail you out. So and it happened, fortunately. But I think if he wants to go and become a top championship footballer with the ambition to go on to the Premier League, I think, and this is my personal opinion, he would have to work somewhat on his defensive duties. But others, this is a game of opinions. Others might say, well, I think he's decent defensively. He could work on getting forward a bit more. That's football. But personally, I think defensively he's weaker defensive than he is going forward. So
that's weird.
But we say that about Fabio.
I was just going to say, the alternative is Fabio.
We said that about Declan John.
But what about Declan John, who's at Chester? I think he's had some good performances for Chesterfield, albeit at a lower level. Loan extended to the end of the season.
I think
he lost his way.
I think there's this notion as well that if you play well in League One or League Two, that you can automatically play well in the Championship. You play well in League One or League Two, if you don't play above well, then the chances are you found your niche at that moment in time. I'm not saying you can't improve as time goes on, but...
Do you guys agree with the fact that Declan John is not quite there at the minute is better off on loan?
Sometimes you have to look at the player as well. And like I've said a lot on this show that, he's the only player that's come through really since Aaron Ramsey. And for me, defensively, he was poor. Now, if you knew the story behind it, he started out as a left winger and was moved into a defensive left back position. Now, for me, he and the club need to teach him that position, but he himself needs to learn that position as well and learn about when to cover, when to overlap, when to sit inside a winger, when to... Do you know what I mean? He needs to learn the position rather than thinking, I'm in the team as a left back and I'm just going to keep playing left back. Understand your position, learn your position. Do you know what I mean? And if you don't, then what tends to happen is you get exposed and you find yourself having to drop down the league, which is exactly what's happened to him.
So is that because I would have thought you would normally be of the opinion that the best thing Cardiff could do is have him with Cardiff, coach him, train him, get him better, rather than have him out to Chesterfield.
He made his debut.
Lower level of coaching.
He made his debut how long ago?
A while back,
You're talking about probably...
We're talking about the guy
5 years ago.
He played like 16 Premier League games.
Yeah,
he played loads under McKay. He started about like 15...
Didn't he make his debut before that, though?
Oh, yeah, I think so, yeah.
Did he make his debut under Dave Jones or something like that?
Possibly, yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
I'm talking like... And that's my point is, it's been a lot... If you say 5 years, since he made his debut, 4 years, in 4 years... him personally or the club, for them not to have worked himself, gone and worked the position, learned the position better, or from the club's point of view, for not to take him aside and give him extra training to teach him the position better. It's a failure on both parts, isn't it?
I mean, from what Russell Slade said recently about him, you get the impression I think there's been a bit of an attitude problem as well. And you can imagine why. I mean, I know, but I mean, you play all those Premier League games.
I don't think it's that, Tugs.
You've spoken it, but no, I think
it's being moved from an attack-minded player to a defensive-minded player.
I think there was a certain amount of animosity that he'd fallen so far down the pecking order when I would imagine he thought under Mackay, I'm Premier League, I've made the breakthrough. It's something you've spoken about loads of times about these young players who suddenly get that run and are like, right, where's the Ferrari showroom? You know what I mean? I'm not saying that for a second about Declan John. I just mean... From what Slade said about him, I can't remember the expression he used, but you got the impression he was making out there was a kind of like, well, why the hell aren't I playing? There was a slight attitude thing that needed to be...
I'm going to get my head down and get back in the team.
Like Stuart O'Keefe.
Yeah, 2013-14, he played 20 odd games for Cardiff Premier League.
Yeah, I know he played loads. Yeah, I remember it. And
regular for Wales.
Well, you can almost see from his point of view what happens. You dropped back down to the Championship then, and you're like, oh well, I've done the Premier League. We're in the Championship now. I should be whatever.
That's why we're not in. Remember my statement back in the last year. The hardest thing is when you come out of the Premier League to go back.
Yeah, to reacclimatise.
Because you psychologically you can have that attitude, but it does you no favours.
But even
whatsoever.
worse, then Slade comes in and he's
well, I would
marginalised.
say,
You're not even playing. So
what I would say, if I was managing Declan, what I'd say to him tomorrow is, if that's the case, why didn't another Championship team come in for you? Or Premier League then, if you think you're Premier League quality.
He had a bit of time at Barnsley, didn't he?
Well, it's a league below, so it's not like there's people falling over themselves.
was it Barnsley the Championship? Was it? Or was
No,
that this season?
League One.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think he just slightly lost his way, and you're hoping that he, as you say, if he's doing well at Chesterfield,
I always say if you can speak to a young player and you can, especially older pros, you can look at him and say, well, really and truly, you're without fault. Then you can look to the club and say, right, put it all on you. But it's very rarely in any sort of circumstance you can say one party is totally responsible and the other party is not responsible in any way, shape or form.
Maybe a good point you can pose it. Can having different managers, 3 in the last few years, have an effect on a young player who's basically trying to learn
Well, it's
his
a different
position, his
opinion as
trade,
well,
and,
John.
yeah, different opinions.
I've played for managers who, you're the number one, you've been bought, 5 million quid, Roy Hodgson. Brian Kidd comes in, totally different, wants this player, buys 13 players. Basically our one squad pushed to the side and a new squad introduced. Not because he thinks he's a better player than him, they're not my players, I don't want them. So it can happen, that it can be that straightforward. I want my own team, my own players, and if I buy them, they're going to be, more loyal to me, they're going to run through brick walls for me. Someone else's team isn't going to.
Interesting.
I would say get to know the man first,
Hopefully we'll see him back next season.
I hope so, yeah, because he was, he's starting to make that little breakthrough with Wales as well. I think he got a couple of caps that Premier League season as well.
The thing is now, once he comes back, the first thing everyone's going to be saying and looking for is an improvement in his defensive abilities, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's the reason why the club, or the opinion is, why you've been let to go out on loan. So straight away, if he goes and he's up against the winger, and one of these wingers gives him a torrid time, straight away, public opinion is he hasn't improved. Right, who's next? So if you get dropped by the manager, you've left yourself wide open to be dropped, because the fans ain't going to be clamoring over themselves saying, oh, get him back in the team. Why? Because you've just given a poor defensive display. So at the end of the day, that's what I say, at the end of the day, it will come down to you, because no one else steps over that white line.
Yeah.
Simple as that. All the coaching, all the management, all the talking, it doesn't matter. Once you step over that white line, you're on your own. And you will be judged once you're on that white line. 20,000 fans won't take it easy on you because you're local. Do you know what I mean? They'll tell you, like, right, get him off. Eddie, sort him out. You remember those shouts? Get him off, get him, okay, so he's 19, I don't care. He's made 5 mistakes, he's rubbish, get him off, get someone else on.
Is it?
This was
This was me.
You heard me then,
I was 18. No, I heard you and your friends.
You liar, I don't have any friends.
And I got the scar to prove it from that can.
Can of Coke. Well, we loved you, Blakey. We loved you.
Indeed.
Still do, of course.
A brief word, we're coming towards the end. Brief word on Wales then, actually. International break coming up.
It's nice to see a return to normal action by no one turning up for the friendly. It's a reassuring old kind of fashioned way.
I'm not coming. A bit low key, isn't it? But
well, they're vital little things. Who's that?
I suppose Wales need to see. It's quite good that they need to have a plan outside of Bale and Ramsey.
I think it's a good time to come together pre-tournament. Lads get together, relax a bit after. You're not having to come from an intense Premier League Championship into an intense qualification. Do Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They will be able to come down a bit. You still go out there and perform. But listen, anyone who tells you, right, I perform in a friendly the same as I would as a qualification game, you know, I very much...
Liars and cheats.
Liars and cheats.
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say, you know, just psychologically, your brain doesn't, well, it can, but
yeah, no, yeah.
I would say most times when we play friendlies, subconsciously
I would imagine they'll be running
yeah.
some routines in there. What, they got the game Thursday, and is there one Monday then? So they'll be kind of like...
They're like practice matches,
stuff,
isn't
yeah,
and
a lot of
preparation.
3 games in 10 days when they actually get to the Euros. I think they're laying out a lot of the sort of rules. One of the rules for the tournament: no wives or girlfriends in the team hotel out in France.
Fantastic.
I think that's a good rule.
Great news.
I think it's a good rule.
Particularly if you met my wife.
I think that's a good rule.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm going to return to the 1970s.
I've never, because at the end of the day, like I've always said, you know, I've watched. We've all watched England in tournaments over the past 20 years, and you know, every excuse you can imagine has come out of there. You know, the hotel was too secluded. The hotel is too much public.
Well, you've had it both ways.
The hotel is like, you know, it's too big. Or the hotel is too small. Or we didn't see our wives. And you think to yourself, mate, you go into a tournament and you're going to work. It's what you do. The last thing I'd want to do is come off the pitch,
see your missus,
get in, get on the bus, go back to the hotel, eat, chill out, and then my missus would say, "Oh, you never guess what?" You know, you just want to be zoned, not totally zoned on football for the whole 3 weeks, but when you come down, you just want to be relaxing, but still thinking about what you're trying to do. So. And it's only 3 weeks.
Biggest 3 weeks of your life.
Exactly. Why would you? You know what I mean? I'd rather tell my kid I qualified.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No, it sounds like a good rule. Sensible.
And it's great that the players are saying that, nah, no players on wives, because that tells me that the frame of mind they're in is singular. They're on a mission. You know? That's what I say. I think we're qualified. I really do.
Really?
Yeah, I honestly believe my heart of hearts we beat Belgium when we did. And we did. I think we'll qualify. I don't think we've got the tournament scars of like what England got. I think they're in a massive situation now because we've been put into their group.
Yeah.
For us, England are expected to beat Wales. I mean, now, as we've seen, one of the best teams in the world, Belgium, found it very difficult over 4 games. Beat us once, drew once, lost, or beat us twice, lost once, drew once. So we're not a pushover, and we've got players. You know, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Bale," and they kind of stop. Listen, Ramsey, Robson Kanu, these players who fit into a system. You know, you don't necessarily have to have, which I think being England's problem, the best players to have the best team. Leicester are proving that at the moment. Best players in the Premier League, you would say, are Man City's. Best team in the Premier League, you would say, is Leicester.
Yeah.
On paper.
It's going to be interesting to see what Hodgson does with all those guys.
Right,
now.
Because you think going into that game, if we've won the first game or drawn, and England have drawn or lost their first game, or whatever the circumstances are, there is no expectation or pressure on Wales at all.
Who do they get in the expectation? What is it, the 16 then? Is it 16 you go to then?
I don't know. All the expectations on England. So, for me, you know, I honestly do.
It's all about that first game of Wales. It's Slovakia.
If they win it,
if you win that,
you're practically there. You know, you're practically there. You can go into the next 2 games without any sort of pressure.
I remember World Cup year back in Italy. They're famous for they drew their 3 games, and then they won the whole tournament. Yeah, you had to say, "Nah, no chance." So these tournaments are weird. I mean, Wales having no experience of them. It's like Blakey said. No, I'm sure that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, you're going in for it, you know, excited, and you know, I mean, you shouldn't be too big a step up. They can definitely get through the group. That is absolutely definite.
Yeah.
If
I've put my neck on it, I think we'll qualify, and I don't think England will. I'm not
cheering me up now.
No. I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it to make statements or anything like that. I generally believe, with all that's around, both what's around that group and what's around England, like I've mentioned, the media pressure on English is gonna be so immense. You know, on us, it's gonna be like, do you think you can qualify? On England, it's gonna be, well, surely you're gonna qualify. You know, it's only Wales, Slovakia. Do you know what I mean? Mate, that is such a massive pressure to be able to handle. And they haven't done well in the past. You know, the last tournament, they were home after 2 games.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, so.
Wales to win the Euros, Cardiff City to
finish 8th.
That's quite sharp.
Well, sorry. You thought I was asleep. I'm listening. My eyes are closed, but I'm listening. I'm sweeping it. I should be on the stage.
That's 2 in 2.
I'm on fire. Don't end the show. I'm just.
Come on, man.
Here I go.
Sadly, we have to end the show.
Oh, do we? Oh, okay.
Things to do, people to see.
So, I mean, predictions?
Well, until Derby. Oh, for the internationals.
Yeah, we're still doing a prediction, aren't we?
Who they play?
Northern Ireland.
Northern Ireland. Oh, okay. Draw.
Ukraine.
In Ukraine? That's a strange trip, isn't it? It's a bit of a hassle. It's a bit of a hassle.
I went to Odessa recently. Whew, that is...
Is it nice, is it?
Whew.
I can't tell with that face whether it's good or bad.
Good luck. Good luck.
Good night.
Flight in was very scary.
I don't know, can't get excited about friendlies.
No.
Can't. Find international friendlies a bit like, you know, a little bit, like almost, was it Allardyce said the other day, I can't believe we got another god-awful internet. Sometimes I feel a little bit like that. No match of the day, no bluebirds, no nothing.
Well, a nice relaxing Easter weekend though.
Go and get yourself a big flag.
Well, I know where there's a couple there. You don't know what my new job is, do you? Flag waver down Cardiff City. Most people will be happy with that. It's great. We don't have to read any of his stuff anymore. You'll probably wave a flag back.
We're actually going to be without Steve for the next few weeks. So I don't think there'll be a show next week, bank holiday, Easter Monday. But even the week after that, I think he's having a 2-week break to celebrate a rather special birthday.
A significant birthday.
Rather significant birthday.
Are we all invited?
No, didn't get the invite.
Yeah, you might have a drink. Have a drink. Cheers, man.
Where are you going again? You're going away
I'm going to Berlin. Yeah, next week, for a few days.
You look good for 60
chums.
Hey.
I was going to do the old guy. I'm not looking forward to being 40. So somewhere between that, the truth lies. But no, I'm going to go to Berlin and I'm going to have a good time. And I'm going to miss the show, and of course, because I love the show.
Sure, not going to miss you.
Have a chance to get rid of it. Come back, another guy. Where's my seat? Tux, can we have a word, please? Finally, bow into popular demand. No, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss the football next week, but we can't. It's not going to be the same, is it? Northern Ireland and the Ukraine and England. Messing around.
Call it the calm before the storm.
Indeed.
The last 8 games.
The big one, the big derby.
The derby games looming large already.
April 2nd, yeah, absolutely. Okay, chaps, thanks very much. Thanks for your questions and comments. As always, we will be back not next week, but the week after without Tucker. So that's should see the audience figures bursting through.
Something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to. Absolutely. Thanks a lot. We'll see you again next time.